Welcome, deep divers. We are jumping straight in today with a topic that, you might think is just about logistics.
Hmm.
But it turns out to be a really fascinating part of corporate strategy. We're doing a deep dive into the sources you sent us, all focused on executive travel in Chino Hills and, well, the whole Inland Empire business scene.
Right. And our mission today is to look at how these professional chauffeur services, they really transform what the source is called a logistical chore into an actual competitive edge.
Yeah, an edge.
It's all about how this one service can reinforce a company's brand and, the executive's own image.
So the main idea we kept pulling from all these sources, the big takeaway, was that executive transportation is not some background detail.
No, not at all.
It's a very visible, a very critical extension of a company's standards. It shows their values, their attention to detail.
Exactly. For anyone working in the Inland Empire, especially around Chino Hills, having this kind of managed transportation gives you three key things. First, it boosts productivity. Second, it guarantees privacy. And third, and this is huge, it strengthens your brand's credibility with every single interaction.
Mhm.
If you're setting up a high-stakes meeting, this one detail can make a massive difference in how you're perceived.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's start at maybe the most fundamental level, which is just the power of the arrival.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources kept coming back to this idea that transportation is often the very first and then the very last physical interaction a client or an investor has with your company.
And you have to think about the psychology there. First impressions happen in a split second.
Right.
So when a client is met at the curb by a chauffeur in a sharp uniform and they get into this perfectly maintained vehicle, not just any car, but the car, it immediately sends a message.
A nonverbal one.
It's a nonverbal message that says, we are organized, we are confident, we pay attention to details that other people just skip over.
So it's much more than just being on time. The sources seem to be saying that the precision of the arrival is a direct reflection of your professionalism before a single word is spoken.
That's the subtext. Absolutely. The thinking is, if you can't manage a simple car transfer smoothly, how are you going to manage my multi-million-dollar account?
It's a fair question.
And this is really important for an executive's presence. For a big meeting, you need the executive to walk in composed, totally prepared. The chauffeur's job is to just eliminate all the variables.
Traffic, finding the right entrance, parking.
All of it. They manage that whole ecosystem. So the executive steps out ready to go, and that just reinforces their authority and their credibility in what can be, a very competitive environment in the Inland Empire.
Which leads right into this concept with the sources called the mobile extension of the brand. How do they actually do that? How do you get that brand consistency with different cars, different drivers? Because consistency is everything in branding.
It all comes down to standardized, really detailed operational protocols.
Yeah.
It's not just about the type of car.
It's more than that.
Oh, much more. It's the multi-point cleaning checks before every ride. It's the strict uniform standards and this non-negotiable expectation of silence and discretion. These are the little operational things that create a consistent experience that reflects the company's values, whether that's modern tech or, old school reliability. The car becomes a signal.
Here's where we should shift gears a little. Moving from image to, well, the practical, measurable return on investment, the hard utility.
Yeah.
We need to talk about how this kind of service directly helps an executive's workflow and, frankly, helps the bottom line.
This is where it stops being a luxury and becomes a productivity tool. That's how it justifies the cost.
Yep.
A professional chauffeured car is, for all intents and purposes, a private mobile office.
A controlled environment.
A controlled environment. The sources pointed out that things like sound dampening, good connectivity, and just spacious, comfortable seating that allows an executive to actually use their travel time. They can prep for a pitch, they can review sensitive documents, or even hold a private video call.
It's the reduction of mental friction, isn't it? If I'm driving myself or trying to navigate a rideshare app, half my brain is busy with the road or the route or the driver. That time is just gone.
It's completely lost.
Mm.
But in a dedicated environment, that time becomes focused work time again.
Yeah.
We talk about reducing stress, but what it's really about is preserving peak mental energy and focus. The smooth ride, the predictable timing, it ensures an executive walks into a negotiation with a full tank of mental energy, not drained from fighting traffic on the 71. And that mental state is a huge asset.
Okay, let's move to something even more critical. Discretion. Confidentiality.
Yeah.
We all know executives are discussing huge deals, proprietary tech, sensitive HR stuff while they're on the move. How do these professional services create a genuinely secure and private space?
Well, this all comes down to the chauffeur's training, which is a detail people often miss. They're trained to be basically a functional part of the car's operating system,
Mm.
seen but not heard or engaged.
Okay.
The sources talked about really rigorous confidentiality protocols. For example, a lot of services have a zero engagement rule unless the client speaks first, and strict policies about using their own phones while waiting near the vehicle.
But they're not just trained in defensive driving, they're trained in what, situational awareness about information?
Absolutely. The training goes way beyond just etiquette. It's about security consciousness. They get that their job is to create a secure bubble for planning. And that level of professionalism is what aligns the service with high corporate standards and makes it possible to have those confidential conversations. You just can't do that anywhere else.
Let's talk about the other side of this. External relationships, coordination,
Mm.
especially when you're hosting visitors in Chino Hills. The value of giving a client a completely seamless experience, I mean, you can't really overstate that.
Think about the logistical headache you're taking off their plate.
Right.
If you're a client flying into LAX or Ontario to get to a meeting in Chino Hills, you're facing this huge, unfamiliar road network, crazy traffic, and you're on a tight schedule. When you arrange their transportation, you are basically guaranteeing that a representative of your company meets them the second they're ready.
So the service just absorbs all that complexity, the traffic, the right exit, where to park, and all the client feels is a smooth handoff.
Yeah.
That has to reflect well on the host company.
It's an instant client satisfaction booster.
Mm.
And this need for reliability, it just gets amplified for really high-stakes events. Board meetings, shareholder events, merger talks, where a 10-minute delay could literally cost thousands of dollars.
Or just kill the momentum of the whole meeting.
Exactly. Professional coordination makes sure everyone arrives on time using pre-vetted routes, and it just minimizes the risk of some costly logistical mistake.
I can see how vital that would be for coordinating between multiple sites, which happens all the time in the Inland Empire. Shuttling a group from the main office to a factory tour and then to a dinner.
Oh, for sure. One mistake there, and the whole day's agenda could fall apart.
Yeah.
And that's why the sources really highlighted things like group transportation and corporate shuttle services for those kinds of multi-venue events.
Yeah.
It's about streamlining the entire logistics chain. The coordinator handles all the timing, making sure guests just move easily and comfortably from place to place. It turns a potentially chaotic day into a perfectly managed itinerary.
And this brings us back to that idea you mentioned, subtle luxury. It's not about being flashy.
Not at all.
It's about having the right tools for a high-performance job. It sounds like the whole service is designed to be noticed for its quality, but not for being over the top.
That is the key distinction.
Mm.
The luxury has to support the objective. It can't be a distraction. A high-quality, quiet environment is just essential equipment for focus. It lets executives concentrate on business and decision-making, not on the mechanics of getting from point A to B. It helps them perform at their best.
So we've covered the strategic value for image and for immediate utility. Let's take the long-term view. How does this consistent, high-quality service build long-term trust and really strengthen a brand over time?
What's really compelling is how that consistency just compounds trust. An organization that always invests in reliable professional services is showing a deep commitment to quality in every part of how they interact with clients.
Right.
Every perfect ride, every on-time pickup, it just adds another layer to that foundation of credibility.
Hmm.
In a competitive market, that accumulated reputation becomes, it's invaluable.
I think we sometimes forget that a reputation isn't just built in quarterly reports. It's built on hundreds of these small, flawless interactions. This really does make professional transportation a strategic advantage, especially in a business hub like Chino Hills, where everyone's competing for talent and for clients. It signals a level of preparedness that others might just overlook.
Absolutely. And to bring it right back to the local context, the sources laid out the huge variety of services that local providers have, all tailored for the IE business community. This isn't just about one-off rides.
We're talking about a whole suite of services.
A whole portfolio. You've got the essential executive airport transfers, you have full-day dedicated chauffeur support for packed meeting schedules, and streamlined logistics for big corporate events.
And even those specialized things, like managing transport for executives going to a sports event or a concert, those are networking opportunities, but they still need that same level of professionalism.
Right. They become a trusted transportation partner. And by outsourcing that piece to experts, The company guarantees reliability and discretion, which lets their own team focus on their mission, whether that's closing a deal or just hosting a client. It's efficiency through specialization.
This has been a true deep dive. So, to kind of sum up what we found, these professional chauffeur services in Chino Hills are clearly a strategic investment. They impact your corporate image, they actively boost executive productivity, and they drive client satisfaction from the moment they land.
And what's so fascinating when you step back is just how much of a company's nonverbal communication, its perceived reliability, is all wrapped up in the seamless execution of its logistics.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, the executive listening? It means building your brand, that high-stakes decision-making, it effectively starts the moment you step into or out of that vehicle. It's a mobile boardroom, not just a car.
That reframing is essential.
It is. And based on all the source material we looked at, here is the final provocative thought we want to leave you with. If transportation is a mobile extension of your company's values, what other operational details in your organization, the things you see as just mundane logistics, like your IT help desk or the quality of your printed materials, what other details are actually defining your brand to your clients without you even realizing they're acting as marketing tools? Consider where your unseen standards are currently signaling excellence, or maybe a lack of it.